Hey everybody, it's Jonah from Frontline Strength, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about who you are in Christ. So today's video is just basically to encourage you that if you are in Christ, there's a lot of things you don't need to worry about anymore. Listen, as Christians, because we wrestle with the flesh, because we wrestle with sin, it sometimes is hard to wrap our minds around just how pure, how cleansed, and how forgiven we actually are. So I want to read a few passages today that have really helped me to grow stronger in my knowledge of who I am in Christ and helped me adopt a new perspective, which in turn has allowed me to live a better life. So the first passage we're going to be talking about comes from 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3 and 4. Here's what it says. His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence, by which he has granted to us his precious and very great promises, so that through them you may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped from corruption that is the world because of sinful desire. Did you hear that? We have become partakers of his divine nature. So, point number one, you are a partaker of the divine nature. That's how forgiven, how cleansed you actually are. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 4 through 6, it says, "But God, being rich in mercy because of the great love with which he loved us, even while we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up with him, and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus." Where did Jesus say that he was going to be seated? That's right, at the right hand of God. God has raised us up to be seated on the right hand of him with Christ, in Christ, perfectly cleansed and perfectly forgiven. Romans chapter 6, verses 6 through 11 say, "We know that our old self was crucified with him in order that the body of sin might be brought to nothing, so that we would no longer be enslaved to sin. For one who has died has been set free from sin. Now if we have died with Christ, we believe that we will also live with him. We know that Christ, being raised from the dead, will never die again. Death no longer has dominion over him. For the death he died to sin once and for all, but the life he lives to God. So you also must consider yourself dead to sin and alive to God in Christ Jesus." So what these three passages tell us is, number one, we are partakers of the divine nature. Number two, we have been seated in heaven with Christ through Christ. And number three, just as Christ was crucified, dead, buried, and raised to life, we have also been crucified, dead, buried, and raised to life. So the next time you struggle with sin, you've got to realize it is no longer you. As Paul says, "So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me." Notice he doesn't say, "but sin that is me." He says, "sin that dwells within me." We have something called sin that lives within us. It is a parasite, but it is no longer us. We were dead, buried, and resurrected to newness of life and seated in heaven with Christ. You can't get more forgiven. You can't get more freed than that. Rest in his grace, and remember, if you are in Christ, you have everything you need already. I hope this video was encouraging and helpful. It's been so encouraging and helpful to me to realize who I am in Christ and realize just how dead I am to sin. When we call ourselves sinner, we are contradicting who Jesus calls us. So the next time you sin, the next time you mess up, say, "God, thank you that I am already forgiven. God, thank you that I am already cleansed. God, thank you that even though this battle with the flesh is real, it no longer counts against me." Rest in what he has done for you and allow that to free you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe, share, like this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you could, turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss another video with me again. Also, please go on to Patreon and support me if you can. That would be a wonderful way for you to show me that you care about what I'm doing so that I can continue to put out content just like this. As always, keep getting stronger, and I'll talk to you all on Monday.